stop nerfing things before you ever even attempt adjusting some other parameters to solve the problem. All right, guys, I'm going to do my best not to curse because YouTube is cracking down on cursing even harder than before, but just know internally I'm definitely cursing up a storm. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, right, recently there was this little dev blog post about, coming combat and a lot of blah, blah, blah changes. They're going to nerf the crap out of Hatchet and Greatsword and the bow and the musket, and they were also looking at the equipment load changes. Now, I held out this little bit of hope that maybe it meant they were going to roll back some of the stuff. There's a lot of feedback on the forum from a lot of people feeling like the light armor nerfs were a little bit too harsh, right? You buffed medium and heavy by giving them the less time being slowed after they get hit, but then you also hit light with this, on top of that, having the roll distance reduced by 20%, and maybe that was a bit much. Could we try 10% first or whatever? Because it feels like, especially depending on certain melee weapons that get on you, it is really, really, really ridiculously hard to get away now, and if you can't escape at all in light armor, you're really losing the primary benefit of light armor. Now, let's take a look at what they just said.
So I think equip load in our game and the balance between equip load is something that has, evolved over time. If you remember, heavy meta was the thing, at the start of the game. Obviously, now we're in a totally light meta era. We are definitely aware of it. We are going to be making some changes, and in fact, they're coming very soon to a PTR near you. We're going to be making some changes. And the main gist of it is right now, the idea is that light armor needs to be strong, do a lot of damage. But the thing is, you can be in light armor, do all that damage, and still feel relatively safe due to certain perks and things like that. So that's really what we're going to tackle. We're going to try to make you have to take that risk. If you want the extra damage from light, you're going to have to be able to take some risks. So some of those perks are now going to be based on the armor of the character. So things like Resilient or Shirking Fort will be less strong if you're wearing light armor.
I don't necessarily want to be rude, but I don't know what this dev is smoking. Where is the pure light meta stat coming from? Where is he pulling this? From the most casual of game modes? Has anybody here been in a war before? Is it light armor meta in war, which is where if you're doing PvP, big PvP changes, you should probably be balancing around the only PvP mode that has any actual stakes and matters, right? It's not just a shit show, totally casual. Darn, I got a curse word in, right? It's not just the super casual mode that people go in there and they gypsum farm, they test builds, or they're dicking around with their friends. Maybe they're going with a pre-made and they're raffle stomping people, yada, 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 all this stuff, right? It's not the competitive mode. The competitive mode is far from a light meta, right? You've got healers in light armor and you've got kill squad in light armor, but at least half of your roster is medium or heavy armor bruisers or IGBB or IGVG. Am I wrong? Somebody tell me I'm wrong. You can't, because I'm not wrong here. I watch lots and lots and lots of wars, right? Shout out to your boy Willie, right? We watch the wars all the time. There is no light armor meta. Now, let's dig into this next little clip I have from one of the devs that is in charge of balance, and we're going to see what's really going on here.
It's indefensible, and what's worse about it is it's not fun, right? It's not fun to play against it. I've tried to chase them down. I wear heavy. It's impossible for me. It just feels impossible. I have to have a big group with me just to get one person down, and it's just not fun for the opponents either. So,
as you can see, the dev himself that is in charge of doing this kind of stuff plays heavy, and he does not find it fun when people are able to get away from him. Now, this might be slight exaggerations, a little extreme, but it feels to me like the goal here is to just keep smashing light armor, right? To just keep making light armor worse and worse and worse until basically no one is roly-poly rolling around and getting away ever at all. And everyone always has to be stuck, engaged, locked into the combat. Everyone becomes an unga-bunga. It's nothing but ball combat. And for those of you that have watched the stuff, from the streams and the streamers and etc., from people that play bruiser rules and stuff, they love the ball, they love the clump fights, and they hate it. They find it so unfun when there's any other kind of combat going on, right? They always just want it to be the clump fight. They love the clump, and I get it, right? It can be fun when you're playing that role, the clump fights, it's cool, but you cannot be using OPR as your metric for doing this stuff and like what's meta. And, you know, like what happens when still people keep playing light? Because I'll tell you, as someone who plays mostly melee builds, the only reason that I end up finding myself in light is because the OPR map is effing big. It's really big. And because the scoring, again, they're doing more armor changes before addressing the scoring to maybe incentivize different types of play, but because the scoring is the way it is and whatnot, most of your team, they don't do the smart thing, right? When you need a back cap, does anybody go back cap? 9 times out of 10, no. So I'm gonna go do it, which means I want to be in light armor purely to get across the map faster. You know how much it sucks running all the way across the OPR map in medium or heavy? That's not going to change this. This isn't going to change that, which means a lot of people are just going to keep wearing light, or maybe they'll quit, right? Or maybe they're not going to have fun with it anymore at all. Like, I don't really want to play the game today. You can't force people into medium and heavy. It's because it's not as fun. It's not because it's better or stronger, man. Put a medium melee against a light melee or a heavy melee against a light melee. The medium or heavy is going to win like 9 times out of 10, except versus like the most skilled of light melee players, like your guys out there like the whelps, right? It's not because it's better and it's meta. It's because it's more fun. And that's your fault. You did this whole different thing with the dodge system, right? This game was kind of based on soul style combat. Well, they let you roll still in Dark Souls, but your heavy roll is just slower. It's clunkier. It's easier to be punished, but you can still roll. And the same thing with the medium. The medium tends to be the preferred because you get a roll. It's not too slow, right? And it's got that decent mix of the you know, like defensiveness, right? And then your light roll, like some people use it, a lot of mages and such use it. But you differentiated there, and that's why people gravitate toward light, because it's the only one where you roll, and people want to roll in a dodge-based game. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but straight up, like, I get home from work, and this is the first thing I see is this Forge in Eternum video, and there was a few cool things, right? Let's just give a little shout-out to the positive one here. Insert the positive clip.
Will you address why we cannot have blue healing, oblivion, ice storms during PvP in wars?
Sure. On that very same PTR Dave's referring to, we will, and you'll be able to play it, and we're so excited for this.
But yeah, anyway, I get home from work, I see this, and immediately I'm just like, you're gutting light melee. Now, light melee already takes more damage. Like, geez, man, all I gotta do is like watch one fight of like a heavy armor dude with a hammer versus a light melee dude and watch the guy get clapped in just like 2 to 3 hits if they don't dodge the attacks. All you gotta do is get locked in that right. You get that one stun. You in the light have to play perfect. Right? And the other dude just sits there and holds his shield up and waits and keeps doing stun after stun after stun. And you have to keep playing perfect, trying to chip them down, right? And usually, right, you know, again, except for like the highest level of skill light melee players, you're going to end up getting caught in one of the stuns and then you're going to get chained into a couple others and you're going to get killed in like 3-4 hits because you do take more damage. There's the thing is like the resilient, right, the negative amount, right, the reduced amount from the criticals, yes, it's the same, but the actual original damage number that is being reduced is much higher because you're in light already. This is crazy shit to me. Again, I think the dev who does the balance stuff is incredibly biased. I also don't understand where they're pulling meta from. It's clearly from like OPR modes, which again, you want to try something else. Try some other ideas. Make the fucking I'll have to edit that a little bit. I said the F word. Well, edit the map, make the map a little bit smaller, and then light wouldn't feel like I want to be in light. I have a medium set. I don't like playing it because it feels bad. Not because it's worse in combat, because it feels bad getting across the map. And then also change the scoring to incentivize play, incentivize people to get on the points. Stop nerfing things before you ever even attempt adjusting some other parameters to solve the problem. All right, guys, that's it. I don't want to keep ranting. I'm clearly losing it. I'm going to go watch some YouTube videos and stuff instead of hop on the game and play because I'm very frustrated and irritated at the devs and the game at the moment. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the YouTube members and the patrons of the channel. Really appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one.